So welcome to Imperial Fringe. Thanks for coming. I hope you're enjoying all of the amazing exhibits we've got here today, and it's amazing to see so much innovation in so many different fields and how it kind of spreads out. And a lot of these things are about kind of cross-disciplinary research as well. But right now we've got Abellona U, and you're part of the SMILE project. Thanks for coming to say a few words here. Can you say a little bit about what SMILE is, just for the audience?
Hello, everyone. I am here to represent iDiabetic, who is working on SMILE. SMILE actually stands for Smart Last Mile Vaccine Cooling System. And the idea is that we're developing a better box to transport vaccines to remote places.
Right.
Because what is currently used at the moment is pretty much like a picnic box, and the vaccines are cooled by ice blocks, and this has many problems. One of the main problems is that these ice blocks do not last very long.
Yeah.
And what we're working on is to develop a box that can last up to 7 days to be able to reach people living in very remote places.
So it's about transporting vaccinations safely, securely, and in a cool way. In a cool way? Yeah.
Yes.
There's a picture of it, but sadly that's too... the picture that I took was a little bit too large, so we're going to have to resize that a little bit. You don't worry about that. So basically, it's a little box that you can transport the vaccines in, and if anyone hasn't seen it, it's just there in front of us.
Right there, yes.
And we're going to talk about that in a little while. But first of all, I'd like to ask you how you came to be involved in this area of research.
My research doesn't exactly work on this. It's our founder, Kitty, who unfortunately is not able to be here today, who first had this idea. She, at the time, was working at CERN in Geneva, and working on cooling systems in CERN. And she joined a humanitarian hackathon there and realized how big a problem this is. And thought this is really important and meaningful, and she decided to work on this full-time about 2 years ago. And we've been based here, supported by Imperial's facility for technological development so far.
Okay, there's quite a lot in that story. So she was working on cooling a giant particle accelerator, and then over some kind of weekend, it's a bit like, in a way, we heard a story earlier on about Nathan, who's working on prosthetic limbs, wanted to make a kind of Iron Man robot, and then realized that they could actually use this knowledge, this engineering capacity to actually, help people in a very real sense. Is it a similar thing, you think, with Kitty?
Yes, it is. Yes, from cooling a particle accelerator to cooling a small box. They both have different challenges, but it's sort of, knowledge transferred. I mean,
nothing wrong with cooling a particle accelerator. I mean, it's very important. Obviously, it needs to be very, very cool, and it's a very cool project too.
Yes.
But this is cool in its own way because there's different challenges here. And what are those challenges in designing this?
There's technological challenge because we're trying to put... It's not an entirely new technology, but we're putting different technology together in a quite small size. That's one part. Another part would be political challenges, how to get charities or government to adopt this new system.
Right. So you've got this thing, but you need to get people to use it.
Yes.
Even though I guess it's a better solution, what are the challenges to actually getting charities, governments to be using this kind of
the first
technology?
Thing is for it to be approved. For example, this box would be used in official healthcare campaigns, and WHO, the World Health Organization, actually has an approved, authorized list of equipment to be used, and we first would have to get that approval. And that, because ours is such a new technology, it's not even on the requirement yet. And that's why we were working with actually people who developed the guideline at WHO to to incorporate this new kind of technology for this kind of equipment.
Right. So in a way, the spec hasn't really considered what possibly could be done. So they're not even really thought, oh, maybe we don't just need to use an icebox. We can use a better device.
Yes. Because icebox is passive cooling. At the moment, their spec only are available for passive cooling, and we're helping them draft the active cooling part.
Yeah. So, I mean, is it frustrating then just to be up against this bureaucracy when you've got something that can potentially save thousands of lives?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so it's an easy question to answer, really. Okay, so, I mean, you mentioned that your area of research is different. It was Kitty that kind of came up with the concept from her work at CERN, cooling particle accelerators. But what's your side of it?
My side of it, I am currently a PhD student working on biomedical research. The way I met Kitty was also quite interesting. Was in a hackathon organized by the Hackspace.
Right.
And that's where I met Kitty, and I thought, wow, that's really meaningful. And I thought maybe if I can help with my medical biological background.
Right.
So I've joined the team since.
So, I mean, what is your input into the project? Is it about knowing more about the vaccines, or is it about what they need to be stored?
For quite some time, I didn't officially have a title because I did many different things that cannot be covered by one single title. At the moment, we sort of settled on ambassador, like what I'm doing now. And I work on marketing materials.
So in a way, it's more about yours kind of saying how important it is to keep these vaccines cool and the benefit, really, of this kind of technology.
Yes.
And what about these hackathons? Because it seems like they were important both for the initial concept and how this idea spread out.
Yes.
How important are these hackathons, and how do they work? Because people may not know what even a hackathon is.
Actually, I joined that hackathon with that idea because I've never joined one, and then I saw that Hackspace is organizing one, and I thought, why not? And I joined. So what hackathons are is actually, within a very short period of time, you form a team with strangers from different backgrounds and work on a problem intensely. And ideas may come up during the time. You try to perfect it within that short period of time, and whatever comes out, comes out. But the cool thing is that you get to work with very different people, and in such a short period of time, you manage to come up with solutions that you never thought you could.
What sort of period of time are we talking about?
Sorry?
What kind of period of time?
Different hackathons have different timelines.
Like a weekend or something like that?
Usually a weekend, but sometimes the problem is released several weeks before that you can start thinking about it. But really, it's only a weekend that you can work on it.
I mean, do you think that perhaps the rhythm at Imperial should be different, that maybe you should have the whole week off and then just have a hackathon every weekend? Would that actually help innovation and development here at Imperial? Because it seems like, it's for your project anyway, it's the weekends or the hackathons where the development is actually happening.
I'm not sure if a week is necessary.
Yeah.
I guess the key thing about condensing it in such a short period of time of 2 days during a weekend is, with the time pressure, it really gets you to work on that, whatever problem that is. And with that intense period of time, that's enough to trigger sort of the habit to think about things, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the ideas that came within that intense weekend. It's what you take from it and how you apply it to other situations.
So in a way, you still need to do the real work. So you come up with the idea on the weekends, but the actual work of making it happen takes much longer period of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just as how Ideabetic was born out of that humanitarian hackathon, and we've been working on it for 2 years to further develop the original idea.
What would you like to see happen next with this project?
At the moment, we are working on our next prototype, and we had 2 prototypes. One on the inside of how the cooling works, and another that the exterior, how the design of it. And our next prototype will be to put the two parts together.
Right.
And the idea is to bring this prototype to the field to be tested. Late last year, we actually went on to a field trip to see how vaccines are actually delivered, and we observed
where was that?
The whole process. When or where?
Where?
Where, in Nigeria.
Okay.
In northern Nigeria, and that was a very fruitful trip, because we noted several things that we never thought of before that we saw and had to be incorporated into our design.
Yeah. We're kind of running out of time now. There's so many questions I want to ask. I'm going to ask you like 5 questions, but just answer one, because we haven't got time to answer them all.
I get to choose.
So there's this, there's a lot of things that have been brought up. This idea of like this cross-disciplinary research, all the way from product design to biology to the physics of cooling, and how important is that? Then there's this question of like, I guess, the work involved compared to the kind of glamorous sort of, eureka moment. And then also there's a question about how this institution supports this, this type of innovation. All right, there's 3. So answer one of them.
Okay, I'd love to answer all 3, but I'll get to the middle question, which is the glamour side and the real side. I like to think of a lot of these kind of work in entrepreneurship, and actually a PhD or anything else, is that it's like a duck. On the surface, you see a duck, and it looks like they are very moving very elegantly, leisurely. But actually, underneath, the 2 legs are actually flapping very rapidly. And I guess that's a hard work underneath that is seldom realized.
So once again, it's all about the hard work, but you've got that kind of, let's say, cool exterior where you're moving serenely along, and it does seem like this project is moving very, very serenely along, and hopefully it will be moving to all parts of the world, and this will be the standard for vaccine delivery in the future. Abellona, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.